Hello and welcome to Dragonfire Inc. This is a writing advice channel, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Real quick, I'm going to describe why I'm starting this channel and a little bit about my background. So this channel is kind of being born out of the great divide between a grammar channel and a writing channel. And I'm not sure why that divide exists, but I'm hoping to unify the two concepts because if we're learning grammar only in elementary school and then completely forgetting about it the rest of our lives, that's absolutely fine. You can learn and speak and write in English without knowing a single grammatical idea. We do that naturally. But if we're wanting to improve our craft of writing, it's often necessary to discuss what is happening in a sentence, what is happening with a punctuation, and that requires knowledge of grammar. So I'm going to be approaching this from the perspective of an adult learner, an adult writer, or a young adult writer. Part of the other reason that I'm starting this is that I notice a trend with writing advice, both channels and blogs and things like that for new writers, and a lot of times they can devolve into this like top 10 worst things you can do in writing. And while I think those are good in a way, I don't know that the number of them out there is helping writers. And I say that because there's so much of that advice out there, that negative, like, don't do this, don't do that. You could basically don't yourself right out of writing. And so I'm hoping to approach this channel with more of a focus on what you can do, what has been done, and how to improve, rather than, just telling you what not to do. Because it is hard to learn something by only focusing on the negatives. And I understand why this trend is happening. It's more eye-catching to have a negative title in both the news and in YouTube. It's just something we gravitate towards too naturally. Like, oh no, am I doing that thing wrong? Am I, I don't want to be part of that top 10 who's just making these new mistakes, So I understand why those exist, but I also want to help kind of close that gap and also provide hopefully meaningful advice for improving your writing. So a little bit about myself. I've been writing for well over a decade now, and I have finished several stories and a very long novel and also some shorter ones, but I am not published. And in the meantime, while I'm refining my craft to the point where I'm comfortable entering into the whole publishing sphere, I am also working on becoming and starting an book editing business. So I'm excited to not only teach random people who are excited to learn about improving their writing, but also to hopefully send my clients this way so that they can also improve themselves. Because I love editing, and the last thing I want to do is become merely a crutch, like merely the filter through which author can get published. There should always be room in there to help teach and help those authors improve on their own. Because the more the author can do on their own, probably the better the product we're going to end up with. So I'm excited to start this for that reason as well. And for myself, I enjoy reading and writing in fantasy, but a lot of this advice is just general. And while I love fiction, it can also be applied oftentimes to academic writing. Some other things about me: I really enjoy reading medieval literature and classic literature, so I may be doing some videos that may be more genre specific, or simply discussing some of the classics and things like that. but that will be determined as I go forward. And perhaps I'll focus some things on fantasy, but most of the advice should be towards just writing in general. And I hope you will join me on this journey as I get a little bit better at this, and as I bring out what advice I have and what I've learned from other writers and different books on writing. So I'm excited, and I hope you will join me.